You're listening to the Bleav in Giants podcast with two-time Super Bowl winner Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
Welcome to another edition of Bleav in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, and this presentation is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel as we get you set for the Giants showdown against the Detroit Lions, a Lions team that, as of right now, Carl, is out of the playoff picture. But again, this is a time of year where people like to throw that stuff around, and that's why they play 17 games. They're still one of the best teams in the National Football League. They're ranked in the top 10 in both offense and defense, despite the fact that there are quote-unquote troubles with them offensively, as they were stymied last week by the Philadelphia Eagles, which ironically, Carl, back-to-back, the Giants are going to play opponents whose offenses were shut down by the Super Bowl champions. And this is going to be the 7th consecutive game that the Giants are playing against an opponent that is at least 2 games over 500. And next week when they play New England, it'll be an 8th straight game. The only win came on that Thursday night against Philadelphia. But, Carl, what do you make of this matchup here? Week 2 of Mike Kafka. Will they have Jaxson Dart back? These are things to discuss.
Well, you know, the thing with this matchup, right? It's going to go one of two ways. This team will continue to fight, meaning the offense will stay resilient. The defense will play as hard as it can until it can't. Or they just accept the fact that they're just not a very good football team. I believe that the former will be the mindset. I don't see, when I'm in the building, guys that just are in the Cancún mode. I know, like, I see the offensive guys, they're extremely upbeat. They walk around the building upbeat. They feel like they're accomplishing something. And I don't see a defeated defense. Obviously, they're not riding as high as the offense because they're just not accomplishing anything, and they've been, part of what's wrong with the season. But it doesn't seem like they've given up on it. Now, what does that mean when they take the field? Does it mean that they're going to execute more? Are they going to execute for 60 minutes, for as long as time is on the clock? Does it mean that they're going to have a game plan that will allow them to be at their best? Does it mean that they'll be able to stop the run? Or will they just go out there and play hard because they're not quitters? But the results don't change, right? But Chicago's a formidable playoff Super Bowl contender on any given Sunday. And they're going to look to get right. I said Chicago, Detroit. Detroit will play on brand. They never quit. They're a tough-minded team, and they give you a lot to think about. So everything that has hurt your defense, expect to see it from Detroit, and then some of their own stuff.
Jahmyr Gibbs is averaging 5.4 yards per carry. The Giants give up 5.5 yards per carry, worse than the NFL. The Giants lead the NFL in, according to Next Gen Stats, man coverage. Jared Goff has 30 touchdowns, 1 interception against man. So, what are you going to do to stop all this?
Yeah, and look, I've yet to see a Giant defense take the field and just not give effort. That's never been the issue. They can't tackle, they can't stop the run, but they will play hard for you. I've never accused them of not playing hard. But, let's just see if what we saw last week can continue on trend. Like, Dexter was a problem last week. He was legitimately tough to block last week. Let's see if he can stay there.
He was tough to block in the first part of the game. I guess it's By the way, the Goff stat is going back to 2024, since the start of 2024. Carl, it's a trend not only with Dexter Lawrence, where he had a huge impact early in the game, but it's a reflection of this defense that as the game goes on, they get figured out. Because here's how I see this game going. Nobody thinks the Giants are going to win. Everybody says they're going to get blown out. Because the Lions haven't lost 5 straight games since 2022. And since 2023, they're 10-0 when they come off a loss, and they average 32 points per game. But I think if Jaxson Dart's playing, and maybe even if Jameis is playing, I think they'll have enough of a game plan put together where Giant fans are going to be excited going into the third quarter and in the second half. And they're going to get some stops defensively, and they're going to frustrate the Lions a little bit. The question is, how can they sustain it defensively? Because in all these games, right, you don't blow all these leads without first getting a lead, which they have done.
Yeah.
But it feels like they all go AWOL when the game's on the line defensively as a group,
Bob,
collectively.
Let's go back at least 6 weeks ago. I introduced the term mental endurance. I introduced the term mental stamina. That's really what it is. But it's also worth exploring now that this trend continues. And you just said they get figured out.
Right. Philly was the first Philly meeting was the only time they didn't get figured out because they pitched a shutout in the second half against the Eagles.
Right. So let's explore that for a second, right? I can tell you that this team, it's always defense right now because they take the field with leads. They don't have mental stamina, right? Be it Drew Phillips not paying attention on a play that was super important, to coaching, I want to say irregularities, but just not understanding, hey, we need to bring more pressure here to close this game out instead of, just keeping the math the same where a team can say, okay, we know what they're going to do now, so let's just put these zone beaters up because our quarterback's going to have enough time. It's the entire group. So when you say Dexter had a disruptive game, you said, yeah, first half. So if a team, and I can tell you when you say, yeah, first half, and what I saw in the second half, they did figure some things out. They figured if they triple team him, the linebacker will run in the wrong gap and they'll have an easy walk-in touchdown on the goal line. So, yeah, they wanted to neutralize the most destructive force when they needed points the most. So he literally put 3 guys on him, and Flanagan Fowles jumps outside a gap where all he has to do is just go again. I have these things, these crash outs on how these linebackers are playing. But he runs in the wrong gap, and there's a walk-in touchdown. So,
not to dwell on that game, but that play is so infuriating because Deonte Banks has been roasted for his effort at the 2-yard line. But what nobody's talked about is the fact that even when Fowles jumps in the wrong hole, Javon Holland at about the 4-yard line allows a wide receiver to block him right out of the play.
Yeah. So when I say he had a disruptive game, and you say, well, first half, because teams figured it out, and that's not necessarily on him. I've had what I had to say about him, and I think it's changed since then.
Right, we're
and I'm
talking
happy
about the collective.
Yeah, but they've got to make the adjustments too. As teams make adjustments to you, if anybody saw the first half of that game and what Dexter Lawrence was doing to a backup center, and I mean he was tossing him all around, and they said, okay, well, we can't leave him 1-on-1. We're not even going to leave him 1-on-2. They put 3 on him when they needed to score. common sense says, I got 3 people on my nose tackle. I can run up in a gap and make a tackle, not run out of a gap. Like that's the thing that makes me wonder why you can give such effort for so long and then you run out of steam or you run out of options. Like, the effort has always been there. It's the execution. Some of it's user error, just like you said. Javon Holland misses a tackle. Gets blocked out of an opportunity to make a tackle at the 4-yard line. And then you have coaching decisions that are just doesn't make sense, right? Or, when they bring 6, bring 5, they don't get the pressure, but the quarterback throws up popcorn and you're out of position. You can't make a play on the ball. That's what concerns me. The mental stamina and the attention to detail, which all goes hand in hand. Mental stamina means you got focus, right? You can stay focused. You understand the importance of the moment. It just never manifests itself late in games with this Giant defense. And it's player execution, but it's also coaching. Like coaching, ask yourself, stay in the moment. What's better for us? What can we do? What can we accomplish? What are they doing differently? Okay, we're not getting what we were getting once before in the first half. How do we change the equation? Because they've adjusted to us. Offensively, they couldn't run the ball, and then all of a sudden they could run the ball because the offense makes adjustments, and they're a resilient bunch. So the head scratcher, and I could see where this defense walks off the field and say, I don't know, we played hard. Well, y'all just not getting the attention to detail pieces of it right, the adjustments from a coaching right. It's kind of all the above. But guys have never quit. They go out there and they play hard, but they're just not playing smart.
Right. Yeah, and listen, the fans watching this show and they don't want to hear about playing hard, right? I mean, it's been a brutal
playing hard
stretch.
matters too. Yeah,
playing
hard
it matters
because that's a character thing.
Correct, but this is not a 2-9 team, right? I think we could all. You are what your record says you are. I get all that, but like they're not Tennessee. They're not some of these other teams. I'm scared to throw New Orleans in there because the Giants actually lost to New Orleans somehow, but
yeah.
There's a lot more here, like, with these leads late. So now they're going to go into the lion's den, no pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, since the start of 23, they're 10-0 coming off losses. And, they haven't lost 3 in a row since 2022. This is a team that, they changed their offensive coordinator. Dan Campbell took over the play calling duties. My Lord. They're averaging 29 points per game. They're 5th in total offense, 7th in rushing, 9th in passing. They're 5th in total defense, 8 against the run, 8 against the pass. Now, I know it's been spotty, but the Giants last week, Jacobs got hurt, right? He was getting right. We talk about get right game. That's something that you've drilled into our head forever, and it's a Parcells Belichick thing. Don't let them get right this week, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jahmyr Gibbs is already right. He's averaging 5.4 a carry. He's got 8 rushing touchdowns already. He's a threat out of the backfield. He and Montgomery have 14 games in which they've played together where they've each scored. How do the Giants slow this thing down to not get run out of the building?
Well, it all starts at the line of scrimmage, Bob, because they give you a lot of window dressing. They will play fast. They have quick hitting plays to get him in space right away. You have to limit the space for him. You want to make him, and not that this is any better, but it kind of limits one dimension. You've got to make him a between the tackles runner only, so that you know where he is and know where to find him, because they have these complex blocking schemes to get out on the edge. And then once he's in space and he's in space early, you're not bringing him down with one defensive back. So you're whatever you have to do defensively is keep this guy in between the tackles. Not that it makes it easier, but at least you can find them, you can see them, and you can get people to them. They get these toss cracks out there, which the Giants have been susceptible to all year. It's been the edge blockers, the edge defenders who've been getting the susceptible to the crack block from the teams in the past. Detroit, one play, they'll crack the edge. The next play, they'll go all the way down and crack the inside linebacker. So once you think you got it figured out, then they'll go get another guy. That's just how deceptive they are with their blocking schemes. Now, keep in mind, the Giants have practiced against these guys for the last 2 years, so they kind of felt their stinger. They know what type of intensity Detroit brings to a competition. But the challenge is mentally for this defense. And figure out what you want to get. See, this is what frustrates me when I start talking about defense and defensive coordinators, and I can clearly articulate how a defense should speak, how they should think. A coordinator should say, okay, with his group of coaches, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but it just doesn't manifest itself. What do we need to do to get this Gibbs stopped or to get this Montgomery stopped? Where are they best at? He's best in space. All right, we got to put something together to keep this guy in between the tackles. You talk to your coaches about it, and then you go in front of your team and you say, here's where we're going to be best against this run game. We cannot let them get to the edges, so we've got to do what we have to do to keep the ball in between the tackles. And then you just devise whatever your scheme is. But if they get their whole playbook available to them, it will be a massacre. So hopefully they have decided what they wanted to take away and they can focus on that and understand the toss crack is just not on your defensive end. They will toss crack your defensive end. They will toss crack your inside linebacker. Everybody has to be on the same page defensively, and everybody's got to keep this kid in between the tackles. And like I said, it's not that, and that's Montgomery too, by the way.
Sure.
And it's not that it makes it easier, but it makes it easier to find him. And it gives you the numbers that you need, talking about math. It gives you the numbers that you need to get players to the football. The math doesn't work when that guy can get out in space because he's going to be, one-on-one, it just doesn't work. One-on-two doesn't get him down either. You've got to have 3-4 guys around him all the time. So hopefully they have a plan. I know the players will play hard. It's never been a question. I've never questioned that. But, disrupt the player, make him that for 4 quarters. How do you do that? How do you keep adjusting to keep your best player, plural, at advantageous state? Because they saw what Dexter did last week. They see Brian Burns every week. What are you going to do to keep them dominant? Now that the switch is flipped, right? And you see a totally different Dexter Lawrence tossing and just doing his thing, right? He gets his one-on-ones and he shows you what he does. How can you continue to create that for him, right? Because part of when you say in the first half, he was kicking ass, second half, well, you probably look at your defense lack of adjustments and the fact that if a team can dedicate 3 guys to one person and nobody else can make a play, then that's shameful, right? If you got 3 guys blocking him and they only got 5 guys up front blocking, you should have at least 2 guys free to the ball, according to my math.
Yeah, correct. And the quarterback ain't blocking anybody, so
And the
you really
quarterback
have him
ain't blocking
outnumbered.
nobody. So how is it that you can triple team a guy and you got 2 guys unblocked and the ball walks right into the end zone?
Right. And your other defensive lineman on that play, Roy Robertson Harris, stalemates his guy. You know, so he doesn't step inside to give Wilson a chance to bounce. He kind of stalemates his guy, and Wilson goes in. So now you got
he
a
stalemates him.
linebacker.
Linebacker just walk in there and make the play.
You got a linebacker and safety both didn't make the play. I can't keep going back to last week's game. But here's
these are
what
the things you have to keep talking about, that because if you don't change them, they just keep going forward, and then they multiply by what the team before them did, the team before. I mean, these opponents will just start stacking up plays that hurt the Giants defense, and the Giants will never, because they never correct the one before.
Right.
So they never really get to their own shit, right? They can run everybody else's stuff before they even get to their own.
Yeah, so like Kayvon Thibodeau didn't practice yesterday. I would assume he's not going to play again this week. So it doesn't matter if he's playing, if he's not playing. I mean, whether it's him, whether it's Abdul Carter, whether it's Tamon Fox, whether it's a man in the moon who comes down to play that edge position, if you keep diving inside and allow them to block you, it's going to be a nightmare. The game will be a nightmare, because all we'll do now, if you keep crashing in and taking chances and playing outside the defense, because you're going to make a hero play and take it inside when you've got to set an edge or whatever, or not being aware that a receiver is coming down to block you, then you know what we're going to be talking about on Monday in the recap? We're going to be talking about, oh, look at the bad angle this guy took. Look at the bad angle this guy took. No, Montgomery is an elite athlete. When he gets to where you're saying he wants to go, he makes everybody look like they're taking a bad angle, because he's a superior athlete with Gibbs.
Right.
So like,
so if you want, and I again see at first when I kept seeing Abdul Carter go inside, because it's one of his patented pass rush moves, and he thinks he can beat people to the inside, and he's quick like that. But if that's the only thing you're showing, then they just lay in wait for it. But then when I saw it, I said, well, maybe they told him to do that, but somebody was supposed to loop back around to the outside. It never happened. Now, if you want that Reese's peanut butter cup moment where you accidentally get peanut butter and the chocolate and the peanut butter, you say, oh, well, here's what we can do. They're expecting Abdul Carter to crash in. So if he crashes in, we're going to loop our 3 technique around. Now we got ourselves a run stunt. That would be the moment you take advantage of something that the team think here comes Carter. He's about to crash down. We're going to have a soft corner. Right? You crash him and you loop your 3 technique. Now, this would be fun if you had Thibodeau, you could do this easily, because that's how you implement those 3 guys. You put him down as a 3 technique, tell Carter to crash and let him, because he's athletic enough to get to the edge, and he'd probably make a good play. But these are all things that some other coordinator could probably think of. But that would be the moment where you can say, okay, let's take advantage of the things that he continuously does that we don't want him to do, and you just operate differently. But it's going to be an interesting situation. Like, Detroit's looking to get right. I don't know if they will take the Giants lightly, but I think their mantra is going to be like, if we play hard for 60 minutes, the Giants normally fizzle out with like 7 minutes left in the game.
Right.
But they know that offensively, the Giants they put up points on everybody. They are productive against everyone. So I I don't see that changing because they continuously make adjustments. I want to see how this defense makes it. If the defense comes out strong, will they stay in the moment? Will they continue to monitor their progress to make sure that they are adjusting accordingly and keeping the offense off balance?
Let's go to the other side of the ball here, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
As of this recording, it looks like Jaxson Dart is trending toward clearing. Maybe by the time we're finished recording and there'll be news that he has cleared. He gives them the best chance to win. I know Jameis played his heart out. Guys love him and everything else. He's lucky he didn't throw 5 picks. I mean, Carrington Valentine had 2 of them right in and out of his hands. But, Dart's ability to run and everything else. But let's talk about this defense, right? I mean, they've been compromised in the secondary. They're trying to get some people back.
Mm-hmm.
But they still are ranked 5th overall, 34% as far as third downs. They give up 21.6 per game. And Aiden Hutchinson has 7.5 sacks this season. Muhammad has 6. He's the kid from Don Bosco Prep. Anzalone is active at the backer position. Campbell's a really good player. Branch is a physical safety. I mean, they've got Kerry Joseph they got back there. How did the Giants go about attacking this Detroit defense? And what did you see on tape as you studied them that kind of stood out towards you?
Well, I think it all starts with the offensive line because they are chaotic. They bring a lot of chaos with their front. Aiden Hutchinson is a one-man wrecking crew. Like, he's the guy that's never blocked when he's blocked. So just like, I don't know what game it was, where Jaxson Dart breaks contain and out of nowhere somebody comes from all the way in the back and hits him. That's a Aiden Hutchinson. Never think he's out of the play. So if you're moving around as quarterback, this guy's going to continue to pursue you. But once you get that aspect of their rush contained, then I think the same thing that the Giants have done to everybody else with their 12 personnel will happen against Detroit. 12 personnel, they can block you. They can spread you out. There's a lot of things they can do with that personnel grouping, but you also want to run at Aiden Hutchinson too, because he's a guy who likes he likes his space. You want him to get his hands dirty. Not saying that he can't play the run, but the less free runners, or the less he is a free runner, the better you are at running your own offense. So you want tight ends blocking him. You want him to get dirty. You want him to constantly have to work or overwork, and you want to run it at him too. Make him work at it. That's where you're going to get some things done on offense, because once you start to run at him, then you're going to have some play action. Then you're going to have some zone run cutback. There are a lot of things you can do when you go at the best player. Not that he is their only best player, but he's their most active player. He's the Energizer Bunny. He's the guy you got to always keep an eye out for. So why not put some attention to him right away? Defensively, they give up some plays because, again, like everybody else, they have injuries. But their guys, they know their assignments. You've got to be able to exploit them because they're not an undisciplined group on defense.
Yeah, I mean, and look, it's going to be interesting, right? Because you're talking about the Giants are going to be playing in a playoff-like atmosphere. And I know, like, if the playoffs started today, all that garbage, they're 6-4. They're still one of the favorites in the NFC. But, this is a big stretch for Detroit. They've got the Giants. Then they've got the Packers on Thanksgiving. And then the following Thursday, they host the Cowboys. So this is like go time now for the Lions. So they're going to – now they're coming
Sunday,
off –
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, so now they're coming off a 16-9 loss against Philadelphia, which ironically this is the second week in a row the Giants are playing a team that the Philadelphia defense completely shut down. So if you want a sense of playoff like atmosphere, even though you're not going to the playoffs at 2-9, you better bring it this week because it is going to be intense, it's going to be insane, and it's going to be high octane. Because Dan Campbell ain't joking around, right? He's a guy that is all about accountability. He's all about intensity. He swears by his guys, but he demands from his guys a lot. They have a high threshold. So if you don't match that intellectually, physically, emotionally, they will run you out of the building.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be a smart fighter as much as you have to be a physical fighter against these guys. You know they're going to be physical, they're going to be intense, but you better stay mentally alert because they will hit you with one and sneak you with another one, and the score will keep going up and up and up, and you'll get to the sideline and not know what hit you.
And they're going to give you some chances because he's going to go for it on these fourth downs. And, he went for it on 5 of them last week.
And got none of them.
And I thought it was a little irresponsible just based on the way the game was going, right? It wound up 16-9. It's one thing if you're at, you're going 24-21, 27-24. All right, now we're just going for it. It's like arena football. But last week's game, you could make the case that you didn't need to go for all those because of the way the game was being played.
Yeah.
But they're going to give you some chances to stop them on 4th down. And when you do, you better make them pay the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that this Giant offense played against a very, very good Denver Broncos defense and had success, put up points. Their preparation offensively, I have no question about. And they take it into the game. I am hopelessly hoping that this Giant defense figures out, this coaching staff and these players figure out the opportunity that they have in front of them. You are what your record says you are because that's how you're playing. You can change the narrative because there's a lot more talent than their record shows. But the talent is playing down to its record. So there's 2 things can be true here. But I would really love to see them put it together and rise to the challenge. Call a game that rises to the challenge. Players, play discipline, rise to the challenge. Match what the offense is giving you, which is a chance. I want to see that. And whatever this season is going to end up being, at least show us that it could be better. Show us that, hey, we finally got some things figured out and we put it together this game and we're going to do it the next and the next. But right now, it's the same story. Same story, good players, bad defense. Good players, lack of execution. Good players, bad game plan. Good players, bad decisions in crucial moments. All of those things.
Are you going to spend a little extra time in the Motor City area?
Yes, I am going to be there this evening.
Oh, nice. But are you going to fly back with the team? You're not staying through Thanksgiving, are you?
No. I'm flying back with the team. I am flying.
Were you, as a young Carl Banks in Flint, Michigan, were you stoked up for the Lions game, which we used to kick off at noon on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that was like ritual. Lions game, Thanksgiving, Dallas Cowboys was always the late game.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a night game.
Right. And so it was get dinner served, watch the Lions, right? My father wanted to eat dinner before the game or after the game on Thanksgiving. So, the
probably
meal
after the
had to
Lions
be,
game since they started at noon.
well, no, my mom would have to be up ready, getting everything ready the day before, the night before, because you didn't know. If he's like, okay, we're having dinner because I want to watch the Lions game, but he would never eat during the game. So normally, you're right, it would be after the Lions game before we would be eating during the Cowboys game. So, yeah. But it was always a ritual.
All right, so when you watch these games and your dad, no eating during the Lions game on Thanksgiving, who was Carl Banks' go-to Lion on Thanksgiving?
Well, I had the Billy Sims era. So that was my guy. I would probably have to say it was during the years where I could really root for guys, it was probably Billy Sims.
Okay. Billy Sims was an amazing player.
Lynn Barney was my guy.
Ned, did you ever get a chance to play against Billy Sims? I know his career ended your rookie year and he got hurt. Did you ever get a chance to play?
No, but he recruited me to go to Oklahoma when I was coming out of high school. I took a visit there and he was my host.
Huh.
So that was a treat. That was a treat.
Heck, I'm staying. I'm going where Brad Van Pelt went. I'm going to Michigan State,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
he was your local legend.
He was my local legend. Everything. We saw Brad Van Pelt growing up, and he was everything to us.
Superman.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else about this?
Yeah. Leave Camp Skattebo the hell alone. All of this hand wringing, y'all ain't got nothing else to do. The kid said it himself, but the most ridiculous thought is that, oh my God, he's putting himself in danger, and how could they let him do that? And I'm gonna pull the curtain back, folks. I've been a part of WrestleMania. I've been a part of the pre-show production meetings. All of these things are taken into account. I'm going to just put it that way. The fact that Camp Skattebo is on a scooter with his leg propped up is all taken into account. The push, where he was pushed, how he was pushed, who was standing behind him, all of that was taken into account. So no, that accident wasn't going to happen, because you know why? WWE wants to keep celebrities coming back. They want to keep doing these skits. You want to know how that ends? You push a guy and he hurts himself. Or you push a guy who's already hurt and his career is over with. I don't remember ever an athlete from another sport ending their career because they did a skit with WWE.
So you did a WrestleMania, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it with you and Lawrence Taylor? Like, they had all you guys there?
Me, Lawrence, Chris Spillman, Ricky Jackson. It was a bunch of us. So you know what that meeting was like?
Give us a flavor of the meeting.
I'll give you a flavor of the meeting. We're all friend and foe are in the same room. And it's made very clear we're here for entertaining. Our wrestlers already know that. You guys are here, you've practiced, you know what we're supposed to do. And then he said, and we're the WWE, we're family entertainment, we don't do blood. So we knew the assignment, we took care of each other. Chris Spillman went off script a little bit. He came flying in.
No. Chris went off script a little?
He went off script. And but that's why people love it. That's why kids love it, because it looks so real. It looks so real, but everybody knew. And if you can name me one player or athlete that went on, or even in the ring, and left out, mangled, and their career was over, I'd welcome the opportunity to hear that one because they want to keep entertaining, folks. There's no interest. When Kim Skattebo said, I'm here, but I just had surgery, they're like, he just had surgery. Here's how we want to do this. So you're going to look at who's beside him, who's behind him. In case he does stumble, who's going to catch him? Then all of those things are choreographed. So yeah, the push back. Cam didn't fall backwards. And if he did, I think it was Roy Robinson Harris that was standing right behind him. It was all scripted. So everybody relax, exhale. It wasn't like he got caught drag racing on the New Jersey Turnpike. And the thought that he should be rehabbing. They don't have 24-hour rehab cycles, folks. He's allowed to eat. He's allowed to go to a movie. He's allowed to go to a game. He's allowed to go to a wrestling match. He didn't skip whatever rehab session he was supposed to have. He had it. So all of our colleagues in the press who says he should be rehabbing, he shouldn't be out, and we hear this all the time. There's no 24-hour rehab cycles. You know what 24-hour rehab is? Critical condition. When they need around-the-clock medical attention.
Right.
Rehab, sports medicine rehab doesn't take 24 hours. You're allowed to eat. You're allowed to shower. You're allowed to shave. You're allowed to go out, hang out, listen to music, go to concerts, go to basketball games, go to wrestling matches. So stop with the narrative. He should be rehabbing. If you're 24-hour rehabbing, you're in critical condition and you're in the ICU. That's where 24-hour rehabbing comes. You're in ICU and you're in critical condition. Other than that, he's following the protocols that they gave him, and he's living life because that's what young 22-year-old kids do. They live life.
And with that, Carl Banks from the top rope with the atomic elbow on the critics.
Yeah.
There you go. It's scripted. They have contingency plans. And unlike those who are questioning it, you actually lived it. All right. How do we like to end this thing?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
We want to thank our friends
Giants.
at FanDuel. Bleav in Giants.